course 1, I believe. I had spotted here for everybody's buddy MJ a little bit earlier. Took him on a little different line. But quite honestly, by the time I got around to driving it, I had forgotten where I took him until after I got started down this line. I pinched myself off here. I should have been a little bit more passenger. So I have to burn a pretty early reverse here to get myself back up and get my passenger side up on the rock a little bit. I probably could have swung up driver and then drove more straight through this gate, or through this crack, if that makes sense. But once I get the Pitbull 1.7 rocker, which this tire, man, I love this tire. It just seems to hook up on everything. But I'm able to get through there once I get that passenger side up. It's a little tricky step down gate here. Wiggle myself over a little bit. I want the truck to come off square down this step down. I don't want it to, I don't want to be crooked into the gate. So I want to get my front end down, and it's a step down, but it's at different levels on the bottom. So I want to get the passenger side over as close to that gate, but not on it. So I actually get through that gate clean. Come back up the same path because I don't have to go back through that one crack that took me to gate 1. I'm going to come back up, and you see gate 2 there ahead. Pretty straightforward gate. I'm going to dig a little bit on the inside on the driver's side, and we're just going to go right through it. Now gate 3, kind of tickled myself with this one. I had watched guys hit it several times. I'd watched some folks winch through it. So I was like, all right, well, let me just try to back through it. So what I want to do here is get as close to that cover rock on the right side of my truck, get my back end up, wiggle, and get that rear end as close to that lower gate as I can, because I know I can now steer what is, in essence, the rear of the truck, but it's actually the front of the truck through the gate, kind of like a pole vaulter would go up and over the bar. So I want to get the rear end through, and I get pretty close to it here, but again, I trust the Pitbull rockers that they're going to hook up on this rock. I am running crazy crawler foams inside of those guys. Wiggle, the raw 500 from Reefs. Man, it gives you that fast twitch power, and get you moving when you need to be. So I get it through, and I'm steering the front end through, and the rear end starts to come up on the rock. And I just give it a little blip of the throttle, take the roll, but there's no penalty because I'm able to right myself back. The judge was actually tickled there. He had not seen anybody do that yet. But I was happy to get through gate 3. It cost me the 1 reverse point. I didn't have to winch anything, and I didn't risk. I did risk, but I didn't hit the gate, so that was good. 4 was pretty straightforward, just uphill. Again, you want to get lined up as square to the gate as you can. Now 5 was an interesting gate placement. Gave a lot of folks problems, myself included. I actually have to winch out here. But I come down the face, again, trying to get the truck as square to the gate as I can, keeping in mind that you're going to see right there as you're looking at the picture to the inside of the gate that's marked with the 5, there's a lip there, and it catches my bumper. I've still got a little bit of traction, but again, I don't want to break the truck. I don't want to knock anything off. And as I'm trying to work it out and work it through here, my rear end starts to come around. So I decide to, and I opt for a winch here to keep my rear end off of that gate. So you're going to see a little bit of fancy winching here. I started to use the bobble on top, but I think I actually use the clip I have attached to the rear shock tower. And then the other thing I'm going to do, I do have a Grundish hook here, which is it's a great little winch hook. It's tough to break loose, especially on flat rock or anything like that. But what I didn't want to risk was something breaking loose and slipping and having either my truck and or my winch line come down and make contact with that gate, because any contact from your truck, your lanyard, any part of your body, you step on a gate, and we did see that in the finals. Mr. Chris Cox ended up stepping on a gate, and it's it happens. But all those are still gate penalties regardless of how you contact it. So I go through the hook on the rear shock tower, and I'm able to not only pull my truck back to the driver's side a little bit, but I'm able to free up the bumper. So again, I did take the judge hold on the winch, and with Super Shafty, it is basically it's a dual winch is what it in essence. A normal winch is 3 points, a judge hold is 6. And no, I did not actually hit gate 5 there. You can see there's a little lip on that rock, and my rocker sat down and gripped right up on that rock. And if you could hover the gate with your tire, you could not have your tire outside of the gate. So I was clean through 5. I'm holding my winch, and it's one of the things I'm gonna do this off season is work on the winch control and getting that a little better position on my radio to where it's not so awkward for me to do it. But I'm holding my winch up and my winch line up so I don't run the risk of hitting the gate. Now, I do come off here and I flop, and I end up, it doesn't roll quite as good as my C2 truck, but in the essence of burning time, I've already made up my mind. I'm going to try once or twice to wiggle it over. Then I'm going to take the 5-point roll penalty. There was a little bit of a pause there. That's why there was a blip in the video, as some other drivers had to go through. But we're going to come up 6. And what I want to do here is I got a little too far to my driver's side, but I was able to work it out again, trusting the tires, trusting the smooth power in the Hobby Wing ESC setup in combo, and I'm able to get up through 6 clean. The transition from 6 to 7 was a little tricky, as you see here. My front end gets down, which is not where I want to be, and I end up taking a reverse there just to make sure that I've got my front end up, because I definitely don't want to roll back down and risk contact with myself, which again would be a touch penalty. Even if it's accidental, as long as it's not a safety situation where I'm trying to prevent myself from falling, then it's a touch penalty. I'm going to back into 7. I saw people do this a couple different ways. Some people went in, made a 2 or 3 point turn. Some people tried to come up over the ledge. I didn't really want to mess with that. Nice and smooth, just back up along the gate, along the edge and the ledge, and come right back, turn myself in again with the Trio. There's a much better flop right there. But with the Trio 45s, I got real good steering. Now on this one, gate 8 was a little tough, but I needed to hook, and you'll see me do it here in a second. I wanted to hook the inside edge of the front passenger tire. And once I do that, the balanced weight on the truck is going to pull it right up pretty easily through the gate. It does take me a couple of tries, but again, my wheels are not going backwards. My tires are not spinning backwards, so there is no reverse penalty there. If I backed up to where my rotation of my wheels would turn backwards, then it would be a penalty. But there you see me hook the lip, and I come right up through 8 pretty easy once I'm successful in hooking that outside edge or inside edge of the passenger side tire. Coming up to 9. 9 was super tight. I'm going to blip the throttle a couple times to get my front end around. Again, with the tight steering, it's pretty easy. I do have overdrive in this truck as well. It's through the front portals. And then I'm just going to do the Reefs Raw 500 wiggle, wiggle, wiggle until that truck front end slides down a little bit, and you can see the fast twitch in that servo. I come straight through the gate, hang a little bit of the driver's side, and then instead of doing anything crazy, I go back down to the big rock. And I opted to go right here instead of left. I did see some guys try to make this circle in the other direction, and it was just a little too close to that bottom ledge, and I actually saw a couple of guys flop off of it. Stay as far passenger here as I can, and use the good steering radius and power to line that gate up as square as I can and slide right through it. So a clean run, no gates. I did have the flop and a couple of winches, but hey, a pretty successful Class 1 run. And again, I hope this is helpful for you guys. Now, Class 1, it's kind of my class. I do like it. Tiny tires is what I enjoy the most. So you get a little bonus footage here. This is maybe course 3, I'm not sure, but I just transitioned through gate 1. And you're not going to get all 10 gates here, but you are going to get 1 through 4. And the reason being is there's a ledge at gate 4 that I wanted to show you guys how I did. I saw a bunch of guys do this a bunch of different ways. Most, quite honestly, were not successful. So you're going to see me go up on that rock. Now, the reason I went up on that rock was to get my front end down and through clean. I saw some folks hang their bumpers up. And then 3 is just a real simple climb. Nice, straightforward, square through the gate. Trust your tires, trust the balance on your truck. A bunch of guys went at it different ways. Some guys, I'm going to dig the corner and then go around to the left of this rock. Some guys went up that ledge to the right. A lot of different options here. But I'm going to come all the way around this rock. Now, the black tar sealer that they use on these rocks, different temperatures, it can get pretty slick. Sometimes it's sticky, sometimes it's slick. You never really know what you're getting with it. I come off here, and then I'm going to line gate 4 up. I'm trying to keep my rear end inside the lip, and then I'm going to run this shelf all the way out. So again, I saw guys try to run the shelf, fall off, they get stuck down there. Some guys just turned down, then had to come back up. But going across the shelf was actually the easiest transition to get to gate 5. So what I'm doing is I got my front end through. I've got both tires up on the shelf. And I'm just basically going to drag that rear axle. And I saw guys get to here and they would turn up into the rock and trying to climb it to get their front end up, thinking the rear would follow. And what they were doing was actually pushing, by turning into it, they were pushing their rear end down as the truck looked for traction. So here I just follow right out the ledge, keep the rear axle hanging on the shelf there. And the video probably doesn't quite do it justice, but the transition there was easy. It was just, again, slow, fluid cross. That's it. That's what you get. I hope it helps.